All right, yeah. Another year of DappCon. Good to be here again. Again, talking about circles or subline. I get the question a lot after 10 years. Yeah, why are you still here? Why are you still building? And I want to connect that to a person I appreciate, Rutger Bergmann, who recently published a book, Moral Ambition, and yeah, it's simply tries to ask the question, what are things that are worth to put your talent and your effort into? And he obviously makes the observation that a lot of people, in a way, waste their talent, go into corporate jobs. He calls it the Bermuda, where you start as a student and then you end up in this Bermuda triangle between corporate law, consulting, and kind of traditional finance. And kind of in that Bermuda triangle, lots of talent and work is essentially then wasted, and people with initially ambitions, spend their day on zero-sum games and essentially not improving the world. I tried to, before we go into circles, tried to find the bigger picture of the things that, in my view, we as a broader Web3, but kind of certainly also Gnosis, are trying to contribute, and in what way we are potentially can fill this moral ambition of not wasting our time, but doing things that have an impact. So I tried to summarize the things with, the first one is increase efficiency, so basically make things better work, and just another way to look at it is grow the overall pie. Just don't do zero-sum things, do things that are actually productive, do things that actually make more of something for the world. But the second thing is as important, and that is, well, if we grow the pie, if we can increase efficiency, we still also make sure that that the world benefits from it, and that not only few. Part is distributing ownership, and again making sure that this hopefully larger pie is enjoyed by more people. And the third thing is also the perfect articulation of that idea, but I do think, well, obviously we are polarizing. Our world is more polarized. We see wars and wars again. And I tried to articulate this thought that also Julian Assange at some point articulated, and he tried to make the connection between essentially leaking data and therefore kind of revealing the truth. He made the connection to that ending wars, because in his assessment, he said every war is started or based on lies. So kind of some people believe that, or partially, but the people believe different things, and those are lies, and that is required for them to be in a war. So I would say at least if one has a better shared truth or shared understanding of each other, it seems to me at least that that could be a way to reduce wars. So now the problem is, I think we have here a lot of people who share those I guess moral ambitions. But that's of course still not enough, because ultimately, if you build stuff, if you do things, but you just stay in your closed circle and you can't reach the world beyond, you can't reach users, then I would still say even with the best moral ambitions and with having the right goals, if they don't result in concrete results, then I would still say that's not enough. And of course we want to go beyond it. And we will have a panel discussing that topic. Have we actually improved the world in a way? Tomorrow here on stage at 3:10. So what have we done at Gnosis? So kind of here in the hall next to us, you see this this wall of kind of bit history of the last 10 years of various projects. We have been working on, and I tried to put the various projects here into the categories. So we have things like Gnosis Pay, or just the general concept of using blockchain to facilitate payment, stablecoins, and those certainly can increase efficiency. Legacy banking and financial software is certainly, there's a lot of waste, and things can be done cheaper, more efficient, and therefore give room to essentially grow the pie, make more of it. Similar thing, CowSwap, we do believe that you can do trading without leaking value to arbitrageurs or reducing the role of market makers, and again, just making the thing more efficient, and in that sense, growing the and a few more. Gnosis HQ product recently joined the Gnosis ecosystem. Okay, anyhow, don't want to go into all of them. Then the next one, ownership distribution, the concept of a DAO, the concept of the chain, where the chain, or one of the core promises of Gnosis Chain is that it is actually run by the people who are using it. So it's not one company, one entity running it. We really think it's important that you can run your own validator, have actual power and ownership over the platforms. The third thing that's probably least concrete, but I still believe that prediction markets, conditional token framework, and also techniques that you can use that result from this web of trust that we are creating with circles, and we will look more into that they can also be used to better spread information, and therefore better create this shared truth. But then, going back, the reality is also, we also have not reached the reach we need to reach. So we have been building for a long time, and still are just at a couple of thousand users. So here's Gnosis Pay weekly, or those that transact weekly use the card, and it's just still shy of or a little bit over 4,000 after roughly 1.5 years. And okay, with Circles, it's now launched a couple of weeks ago, and now we are also in similar numbers. Still tiny. So absolutely, the goal needs to be that I don't want to be on a stage of another DappCon, talk about moral ambitions and whatnot. Users. So those things, that is absolutely or will be a priority for us. Maybe one more thought on that. So on the previous slide, this conflict between trying to do important or the right things, but then not having users, not reaching users. So one thing even here about DappCon is people say, and I think they mean it in a positive way, oh yeah, it's a nice conference, as marketing and so on. And to some extent that is a positive, but to some extent, I definitely also see the risk of just building stuff and then not having it used, and not having not doing enough in that sense then marketing to get it out. Because again, I do think if we want to make a difference, we will need to get the things used and get the things out that we are building. All right, now with that kind of introduction and or maybe high-level thoughts on why we are doing what we are doing. Again, quickly, talking about circles again. So it's probably not the first time you have, or for many, not the first time you have, hear me talk about circles. But yeah, we made significant, progress. Again, last year I was also here stage, talked about circles, but now finally, a couple of weeks ago, we launched Metri. Hopefully many of you had already the chance to try it. There are more experiences here or things you can try it out. But again, now quickly going through the why. Money is a technology, and it's probably the most widespread and the technology that defines our lives the most. So again, if you go to another country, you don't speak the language, you don't speak the culture, but almost everyone in the world understands money. And in that sense, the rule of kind of how money works is defining our society like hardly anything else. And there is one element of money that is easy to understand for everyone. So you somehow, for the individual, you somehow get money by earning it in some form, and then you can spend it. That's easy. And on the surface, it seems like there's not much to decide here. But if you go one step deeper and if you try to understand where does the money initially come from, how does it get into circulation, who can decide when it gets into circulation, then you do understand that money is absolutely not neutral, and that those decisions of exactly how this money creation process works play a huge role in shaping our society. And Circles essentially tries to say, okay, let's reinvent money and let's apply those principles of making sure that the power is distributed and the benefit of it is distributed. So Circles fundamentally puts the human, the individual, at the center of that very critical process or very critical role of where does the money initially come from? How is it created? So, and we have the technology to rewire this the stack. So again, probably you also have seen that a couple of times. So in Circles, all money is created on a personal level. People who join the system are allowed to issue 1 unit per hour. And that is how it comes initially into circulation. After that, it behaves just like money. You can spend it, you can buy it, you can earn it, you can trade it, you can convert it into other currencies. But this initial, how does it come into the world, that happens time-based per person. The second thing is there is a constant, if we continuously issue new money, the total supply would always grow, and over a long period of time, then this right to issue just 1 more unit would essentially, its value would diminish if the total supply would go towards infinity, if we just would keep issuing money. Therefore, the second rule is important because that makes sure that in a way old money is also constantly, we call it demoraged, burned in the app, so it basically disappears. And that leads to a situation where this right to issue new money will have a fixed value. And the third one, selective trust system, just means there is no central gatekeeper, no one who can say who can join the system, but to protect against Sibyls or decide with whom you want to interact, we have this web of trust, and we will look into that in more detail. Here's just again the curve that follows from rule 1 and 2. So it's just a hypothetical one person that is issuing money for 80 years, and in the beginning it increases more or less linear. linear, and then this 7% kicks in, and essentially it leads to a stable supply of, or eventually it will lead to a stable supply of 120,000 units per person. And here, hypothetically, if they stop issuing, because let's say they die after 80 years, then essentially the money they have issued will still stay around for a while, but over time it will disappear from the system, and that's again because of the 7% demurrage. Yeah. So long term, Bitcoin has this magic number of 21 million. In Circles, the magic number is 120,000 units times the number of people in the system. If it's only 10, it would just be 1.2 million. If it's a million people, then it would be a million times 120,000. Quickly here, just another perspective is all balances are continuously converging towards this larger number, or at least all balances of humans. If you have less than this 120,000 in your account right now, then the right of issuance is larger, or that will produce a larger amount than those 7% demurrage. And if your balance would be larger than 120,000, or is larger than 120,000, then this demurrage would be more significant, that your total amount will every day slightly decrease, and kind of the effective tax rate that you pay, kind of the burn kind of offset by the issuance, converges towards 7% if you would hold an infinite amount of circles. All right. Again, core idea of Circles, it is completely open and permissionless. Everyone can issue currency, everyone who is in some form part of this web of trust. And now this, of course, always triggers the question of Sybil attack, so the idea of how do we prevent that a person can create multiple accounts. And the key thing here is that Circles are not fungible, or are by default, everyone again has their own personal circles, and they are only made fungible through this web of trust. So here A, B, C, A and B are trusting each other, B and C is trusting each other, and A wants to pay to C, then C would not accept the A circles that A holds because they don't know them. They don't trust those circles, they don't want to hold those circles, but it is possible that, and this can happen without person B being involved in this, it can happen so A will send 100 circles there, and without B being involved, 100 of B's circle can be forwarded by the smart contracts to person C, and person C is happy, they receive B tokens or circles from a person they trust and they know. And person B now has, kind of after the transaction has more of the A tokens, less of the B tokens, but their total balance has changed. Here is how that looks today in the Metri app. This is my account. Today in the morning, I hold 37,000 circles, and high level, that's all I care about. But if I click on the circles balance, I kind of get a breakdown of the individual circles I hold. So kind of I hold 2,000 of my very own, and then I hold the list is a bit longer, but I hold circles of those people I trust in the circles trust graph. Now that composition again might change at any time. So if someone right now is doing a circles transfer, it's possible that it will go through my account. So if for example, they pay someone who accepts margin tokens, and the person that is sending doesn't have margin tokens, it's very possible that just in this very moment, someone is sending me more, let's say, ELA tokens, 1,000, and so then I would have 1,000 of that more and 1,000 less of the margin tokens, but for me that's fine because my overall balance stays the same. So the fungibility, or that pure web of trust system creates a system where if the graph is densely enough connected, then there should always be a connection from anyone to anyone, and kind of essentially the circle should be spendable. In practice, that already right now is sometimes not the case. So sometimes you will hold circles that where you can't find the path to the person or to the thing you want to interact with, and here groups are or will play an important role. And groups essentially, give a way to delegate trust, to say, okay, I not only trust those couple of people individually, there is a group mechanism that, and for example, for DappCon, we have a group that everyone who visits DappCon can join the DappCon group, and then you can basically just say, okay, I trust this DappCon group, and implicitly that means I trust everyone who is in the group. So it's just a way to scale the web of trust. Fundamentally, by doing that, we are giving up a little bit of the extreme resilience that Circles has, because if such a group is, or those groups, of course, could develop into very large groups, and therefore then also kind of into PowerPoints or into choke points, let's say. But it is possible for the user to kind of to pick whether they only kind of are very local, trust people directly, or even trust groups. And you can have groups of groups, and in theory you can have then very large groups. Here, how that looks concrete again in the app. So we have a bunch of groups right now, and that also means it is possible to also hold group circles. So a group means, or group circles means, those are all backed, if I hold right now 11,000 or 5,200 DappCon circles, then it means those are all circles that have been backed by members of the DappCon group. So so if you hold an individual is part of a group, you can convert this individual circle to the group circle. If you go back from the group to the individual, you have no guarantee that you will get back this individual that you put in. You will just get any individual circle just any, or it can happen that you get any who's a member. Here's just a visual representation of the DappCon group as it looked today in the morning. This is kind of the web of trust of many people here in the room. Last quick two remarks. We do think that for a long time, I think the ethos in the Web3 community was always no fees, no rent extraction, and so on. In Circles, we right now have introduced quite a bit of fees, and very deliberately, because in my view, if something is offered for free, then usually the playbook is that, okay, there's a lot of VC money going in, you offer something for free, you kind of create network effects, and then years later, once you have kind of those network effects, then usually the model goes that then you can start to extract value. In Circles is a protocol at its core without any fees, without any owner, without any admin, without anyone who has a privileged role, and in that sense, it's also to some extent a problem, because there is no large investor who can push Circles. So what we did is that we we do think it is important for those who are building around circles, let's say wallets, and yeah, right now to a large degree, Gnosis is doing that, that on those levels, fees are taken so that it is, yeah, that is essentially then sustainable or worth it to put in significant resources that are needed to bring something to the world. And to some extent, it's also then an invitation for other wallets to build also a wallet that can also charge a fee, because if we would build a wallet and it wouldn't charge a fee, then yeah, it would be very hard to build another Circles wallet, which we certainly hope. That being said, no fees on the protocol level. If you want to avoid the fees, you can absolutely do that. Yeah, just as a side note. Liquidity, I think I don't have time for that, but also here liquidity is distributed, so circles are tradable. We have this concept of circles backers, people who individually put some liquidity behind their circles, but most liquidity is in groups. But then all of that is somehow connected through the trust network, because the trust network is also a form of liquidity. So if some circles have, or someone's personal circle have a price, my circles have a price, but we trust each other, then essentially we are also we not only have liquidity against an external asset, but we have also liquidity against the other circle. And that has, again, liquidity against external assets. So what I'm trying to say is circles can have individual prices and they can differ, but through the web of trust, they are all network within a network that is highly connected. Circles will have the same price. Yeah, I'll skip that. Ask me if you want to know that in detail. Lots of options to create groups, so there are all those identity solutions out there. So groups can be, like here, a DappCon group, kind of based on physical events, but they can also, of course, be based on stuff like ZK Passport or even biometrics or whatnot. And they can create those larger clusters of trust, I would say. Okay, finally, a bunch of links, but maybe even more important, here there's a circle booth around the corner, and there are a bunch of things how you can just very practically try circles, and often that helps you understand all the things I tried to say much better than those theoretical concepts. Thank you.
We can take some questions. I think so. So let's see. Raise your hands if you have any questions.
Let's see.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. My question to you is that played out, 10 years, Circles is successful. Mm-hmm. How does the world look like, or what's your hope about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if it is successful, it would mean that I would say there are two elements to it. So one is the pure economic impact, and the pure fact that then in that world, a decent percentage of the value of money creation would just be distributed on a per person level. So we have in the past, I mean, we can give a rough estimation of what that value could look like. In the Eurozone, for example, or you can also, Eurozone, if you look at how much money comes each year freshly in circulation, and if you would just divide that amount of money that is, each year is kind of in a way printed, if you would distribute that per person, you would get something like 350 euros per person. So that is, I would say, not quite a UBI in Europe, but still a substantial amount of money. And it would certainly be an amount of money that could eradicate global poverty, or absolute poverty globally. So I would say, best case, circles can be a tool to eradicate absolute poverty and maybe more be a basis of something like a global UBI. That's, I would say, the pure economic thing. The other thing is that I do believe, and I tried to hint at that at a very early slide, that is having a web of trust, or as a core mechanism, that can also be used for other things beyond kind of this crypto UBI, and things like information, or making it better to make sense of the world, finding this shared truths. But I'll just leave it here at this side. All right. Let's see one.
Hi, thank you for your talk, Martin. I'm the founder of Greenwood Wallet, and we like to support circles. Do you have a program for that or something like that?
No, for sure. So there is an SDK, and we absolutely want to make it as easy as possible. Come talk to us.
Great.
All right.
Suppose in the future circles is everywhere, and I end up working for a serial killer. How do I ensure I'm not left holding the bag?
Say again. You are working for a serial.
Presumably, if I get all my my salary in boss CRC, and my boss turns out to be a serial killer, how do I ensure I don't end up holding the bag?
Okay. I mean, in a way, you can always decide what circles you hold. So by deciding who you trust, either with individuals or what groups, you decide. So then it doesn't matter who is paying you and in what they are paying you. Kind of this pass transfer will always ensure that you hold the group, the circles you trust. Now, holding individual circles will always, I guess, or is in a way, or I do think groups will play an important role. So here we will need to have this abstraction to have currency that is more fungible and more, in a way, reliable than those very, very individual circles. But I still do believe that this core promise that all money creation in the system is done on an individual level, and then just on a higher level, kind of that is then aggregated into more fungible and, in a way, more abstract things that then are supported or carried by larger groups. That I think brings the stability that you are then not exposed to very individual people and their trust network.